Hello and welcome. It is the third day of February 2019. This is your crypto day morning for a Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. All bets, trades of the like within each his own risk reward. Not much to go over today. We'll go over it as quickly as I can. Bitcoin, we'll look at the weekly, daily term time frames. Switch over to altcoins AID and Theta. Talk about the Super Bowl, my opinions, and my chalk wager. The last time I put a decent chalk wager, it lost. In the Super Bowl, that is. So therefore, let's get started. 18 average is declining amongst such after it was just doing this whole bunch of nothing. And I'm going to refer to how it looks like in the daily time frame because the last real time it will look as it did will be that. Of course, what I'll be talking about is just this doing nothing. But on the weekly chart, after the major up move, sideways consolidation, and thus a second leg lower has come in. Will we get a third? Question mark. Answer: I don't know. I guess a lot of people seem to think that it will. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the case. It could mean that it's favored to be so, but I don't even want to try to predict if that's even favored. Meaning, a significant break below 3,000 would be, say, we'll say 2,600 ballpark. And the differential on that would be about 800 basis points, or 25% or so. So therefore, the odds of having a move of the same volatility either going up or down, and in case 25% going up would be about decently over 4,000. I don't know what would be more favored. With that being said, here on the daily chart, it's just going on here, just doing a lot of the sideways move. As I've stated, it's got a few layers of resistance, this middle area of this range, which represents this level of high, and then this upper end is two layers of resistance going lower. It's pretty much resisting the lower end of this area, or it has expanded this lower area down to 33 area. And breaking down below, there's two key points: previous low and leg lower. So previous low is around 31 change, and leg lower would have to think noticeably below the 3,000 barrier. Moving on to altcoin AID, and its setup continues to look very nice. This is the third day now, hanging in there within the 18 average still, trying to get above this more shorter term level of resistance, but hanging in there, not breaking out, not breaking down at the same time. It's going to have to do one. Maybe it can go sideways and support would be big, maybe between 950 to 920, but I kind of doubt that. It could. I just got to think that at some point it's either going to have a decent sized break going higher or it's decent sized move. But that's really the whole key thing, because I just wouldn't want to sell it around 1076, 1071. Even here is really conservative at 1097. Whereas you'd be thinking if it's going to break out above, you'd have to think noticeably above 1100, like 1127 is the conservative point I think it would break out to. And then previous high, and who knows thereafter that. And then breaking down, I see this level of key support here on a 900 or so. Let's move on to Theta, which had the iconic move back in November the 30th where the price 3x'd it, came back, has held so far. But I like how the market is doing this turn in the 18, how it's starting to rise. These few days supporting this level of resistance. And since then, a small little rally, albeit lower than here, barely right now, or holding in the early stages, I think is a better way of putting it, within the 18 average of highs. If we reduce candles, we can see it a little bit clearly on this level. I got a line drawn here at 1472. That's where my buy order happens to be. It's also that key area, I think, well, I know where it came from. My last sell was around a hair below 1700. So I'm looking to sell next at a hair below 1800, or about a little over a 10% move from that last key point. So therefore, I'm just going to let the market do what it does. I don't care about predicting the price where it's going to go. Rather, I would rather predict if the price goes up here, that the portfolio value of what I would have would be up somewhere around 12% more, because I'll get that one right. 4-hour time frame. So there we have its move, and it's the last rally comes up here. There's a nice successful correcting where it came to this point, this rally that just recently happened. Lower high, still correcting within this level here. But if you have a spot where you have A good move like this of whatever the point A low, even if it's lower than 1268, just have this rally to about 19, have your successful price correction that managed to make that higher low, and usually coming back to a key area for where it came from, definitely with this spot here, and then for it to have a breakout, but nothing like it did before, thus the lower high. And right now it's supporting this area. That's the key thing. Thus the 18 is behaving normal. But if I see that this is its move and it fails coming through here, 18 goes sideways, starts to go lower, all that kind of stuff, definitely some cautionary reasons to come into play. But breaking out above this, so far again, like I say, it's been successful. It had this situation on this period trying to get it above, never quite did. But doing such, the momentum could be fast and furious, because getting out above this level of high starts to talk about testing some of this level, because this level high here, which was tested, well, never got above it here, but it did here. So this was the retest, as was this high as well at the same point. So therefore this thing could just fly to this previous level, and thereafter that, well, that's pretty much the all-time high for Theta priced against Bitcoin. So you'd be chalking new territories of breaking out above such. All right, then let's talk about the Superbowl. And I'll put the silver chart up as the background for such. All right, my opinion for the Superbowl based on the price itself is on the Rams. If you look at trends, and you have to 100% always follow them, and I'm being sarcastic when I say that, but this is real results. Whenever the New England Patriots have a one Super Bowl losing streak, they have failed to win the next game both times. For they lost their first Super Bowl to Chicago in the 80s, and then they lost to the Patriots in the 90s. And then in the 2000s, they lost to the Giants, and they lost to them again. So they're 0-2 in that spot. And last year, they lost to the Eagles. Whereas the Rams, when they're coming off a Super Bowl loss, they're 1-0. They lost in the 80s. But then, when Kurt Warner came to town, they beat the Tennessee Titans. A couple years later after that, they lost to the Patriots. Revenge spot. You know, all the players on the Rams are going to be like, remember that game when some of us may not have, I guess they were all born. I was going to say when some of you weren't even born. As that would be false. Every one of those players would have been babies or kids. So that's like, oh, whatever. However, the money line is about plus 120, 125 for the Rams. I'm having a hard time finding who's got a real edge over the two. And I'm throwing away that dumb trend. What does it mean? However, Philadelphia lost last year. Does that have anything to do with it? Especially when Bill Belichick intentionally lost last year, and I say that, Malcolm Butler, for a reason. So I don't know what to expect out of Bill Belichick. I don't even want to try. But for what it's worth, plus 120, plus price, plus 130, if you can get that in the money line, I don't think it's that bad. But for me, I'm playing the chalk, and the last time I did this, I lost. That was Atlanta versus New England, where I was offered about minus 1,100 or minus 12, maybe even minus 1,000. I think it was minus 1,000 for that game not to go to overtime. And that was the first ever Super Bowl that did. And I lost that wager. This time the chalk is lower. It's minus 300 and change that I'm betting no in a prop bet to will there be a missed extra point. Blocks do not count, which is amazing. I checked Greg Zerline's and Gostowski's results. It seems as if it's about, you should get a miss mathematically based on how well they've been kicking. One of every 7 or 8 times. And I don't even know how many of the missed PATs were via that of a block, which the prop rules say do not count. Also, it's being played in a dome. Kickers just don't miss extra points. It's really a 37-yard field goal. Really easy kick to make. So therefore, that's how I'm playing it for tonight. I see that the fair value should probably be about minus 700, minus 800. So I'm getting pretty good value on that play. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.